Amazing story in the independent news outlet called Blacklocks. Like Rebel News, they don't take any money from the government, by the way. Here's a story they ran today, very interesting. Headline, Feds take wrong direction. 100% of people questioned in Privy Council focus group research say cabinet is headed in the wrong direction on immigration, records show. Researchers acknowledged universal opposition to record high immigration levels, quote, asked whether they felt the government of Canada was on the right or wrong track when it came to managing the immigration system. All believed it was headed in the wrong direction, said a Privy Council report. It was strongly believed the rate of immigration needed to be temporarily stabilized, added researchers. Now, I obviously didn't sit in on the focus groups in question, but I think I know a bit about how they work. A focus group is a kind of deep opinion poll, deep but not wide. What I mean by that is an opinion poll asks hundreds or even thousands of people a few questions. The idea is to get a wide enough, a large enough sample that statistically the group you select is likely to represent a larger population. So when a poll says 43% of people will vote Conservative and 23% will vote Liberal, they obviously haven't spoken to every Canadian. They probably spoke to 1,000 or 2,000 people spread out across the country, and then they extrapolated from that statistically. That's a poll. It's called a census when you ask literally every single human a question. It's extremely expensive and hard to get cooperation. That's why the government only does it once every 5 years or so. But a focus group is sort of the opposite. It's a smaller group of people who usually show up in person in return for money and maybe a meal. And typically, they're not just asked a question one-on-one. The group itself has a group conversation. The group conversation is led by a pollster to make sure it doesn't go too far off track, and there's a note taker, but it's interactive amongst the group. Not too big a group, right? Because you want everyone to be involved. No more than, I don't even think there'd be more than 10 people. Sometimes they're videotaped for later review. Anyways, you want to recreate the kind of natural banter that normal people would have, say, at the office water cooler, or even at a dinner party, for example. Focus groups are often done in a variety of cities to take into account different sensibilities. You're going to have some demographic diversity in there too, mixing up the ages, sex, race, economic level. If it were just, say, college students, you'd get a very different result than coal miners. So there's a bit of a mix, but the idea is to have the people talk amongst themselves. These can be very expensive studies to do, but they can yield some really interesting information about how people really think about subjects, because you're not just forcing people to answer a yes-no question that a pollster would write. In a way, the focus group lets the participants write their own questions and then answer them. Anyway, you probably know all that. Oh, by the way, this focus group cost nearly $1 million in your tax money. Let me quote, findings were based on focus groups nationwide. The research was commissioned under an $814,714 contract with the Strategic Council, a Toronto pollster. Oh my God, they're getting rich off this Liberal government. So look at that first point again. Asked whether they felt the government of Canada was on the right or wrong track when it came to managing the immigration system, all believed it was headed in the wrong direction. All. They all did. As in every man, every woman, every old person, every young person, every old stock Canadian, every new immigrant, everyone, literally everyone said that. So this report says, and frankly, it's not hard to see why. Let me keep reading a little bit. These latest statistics surprised even me, and I think I follow this issue closely. Cabinet's current immigration levels plan sets quotas at 485,000 people this year, another 500,000 next year, and 500,000 more in 2026. The quotas do not include an additional 1,040,000 foreign students and 766,000 migrant workers let into Canada last year. 1 million foreign students. There are not 1 million Canadian students in Canada. But in a way, there's not 1 million foreign students either. That's sort of lying to yourself, which you should never do. Most of those foreign students, they're not at U of T or UBC or Dalhousie or another real university. Most of them have signed up for fake diploma mills, where a fake college is set up, charges enormous tuition, But what they're really selling is a student visa to get in the country. So 1 million people who could not legally immigrate here come here for a student visa for fake degrees. Some of them, no doubt, are real students, but not 1 million of them. That's 1 million people who paid a fake college $10,000 or $20,000 in tuition. Just think about that. 1 million times 20,000, that's $20 billion. They're getting rich out of selling out our country. 20 grand for tuition, maybe. Probably paid the same to an immigration consultant, probably an immigration consultant affiliated with the college. So once they come here, they're not going home. They didn't pay the money for a student diploma. And then there's the so-called temporary workers on top of that. Why are we bringing in 766,000 people to work at every Tim Hortons and McDonald's drive-through and every 7-Eleven in the country? Why can't young Canadians have those jobs? The obvious answer is that Tim Hortons and the rest of them want to pay very, very low wages to these foreign workers beneath what they would pay Canadians. These foreign workers drive down wages and take jobs that Canadian citizens wouldn't or couldn't take or aren't invited to take at those low wages. But what if companies doing business in Canada had to actually employ Canadian citizens? Well, maybe your Tim Hortons coffee would be 25 cents a cup higher, but we'd have jobs for young people. And of course, with 766,000 fewer people in the housing market, young people could probably afford to move out of their parents and get their own house if we had 766,000 fewer foreign workers. Of course, every single person in the focus group objected to this. Of course, every single one knows that this country is changing in ways we were never asked, we were never consulted, we were never even told about. I mean, did you know the numbers were so staggeringly large? I guarantee you 99% of Canadians do not know the numbers. Here's our Sarah Stock asking some questions of people on the street.
Is there a cap you would put on the amount of people who could come in per year?
No.
No cap at all?
Well, I would think let it happen naturally or let it evolve naturally. I've been to countries where people are living in absolute misery, and it's our fault. It's the Western world's fault.
It's just if government take them, maybe, yeah, but I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I feel like it's too much.
Probably not, to be honest with you. I don't think we have the infrastructure for it. Just need to be able to absorb people as they come, I suppose, you know.
I think, we need to have systems in place, and I think, we're Canada and we are a country of immigrants, and so I think we just need to keep those doors open.
It's like if you invited someone to your house for dinner, right? And they come to your house for dinner and they look around, they go, hey, you know what? I'm staying and you're paying and I'm forcing you to pay and I'm going to live in your house.
Let me read you a little bit more about the focus group. I mean, you paid for it. You should at least learn what it said. Quote, several expressed the view that the rate of immigration had been too high in recent years and that action needed to be taken to temporarily reduce the number of people coming to Canada, including refugees and those seeking asylum, said the Privy Council report, continuous qualitative data collection of Canadians' views. It was felt that the current capacity of infrastructure and vital services could not accommodate further increases to the population, and that a priority needed to be placed on supporting those already living in Canada. People are pretty sick of fake refugees. I think we're all feeling like suckers now, like we've been duped, like we've been too hospitable for people who are taking advantage. I think this is a very interesting story. I just keep coming back to that data point. Every single person felt enough was enough. Everyone, 100%. Does that include Pierre Poilievre? Will the Conservative Party leader start to speak for this massive, massive group of Canadians for all Canadians? I sure hope so. Stay with us for more.